what's up?
The jokes never cease to amaze me. Truly, they truly write themselves. I'm not surprised, just enlightened that things like this happens all the time, but nobody ever seems to talk about it. There's been a long-standing dilemma with black men and their pursuit of happiness. This isn't meant to hate or bash, but it's just a thought. And obviously, it doesn't appeal to every black guy, but if you're offended, then a hit dog hollers.
Encouraged her to act more like Clarissa.C King and Michelle Obama.
I'm a great man. A great man. I am doing great things, not just for me, but for my culture and for the world. That is actually the position I'm in. The woman that supports me needs to be a great woman.
There are some who question, especially in the black community, as you're probably well aware, that people were saying, well, why was he telling this woman to be like Clarissa.C King and Michelle Obama?
It was me trying to give an analogy.
He wanted Grace to be his Coretta Scott King. His Coretta Scott King. The Michelle to his Obama.
I'm so tired, child. I'm so tired. I'm really tired.
I think one thing we can all acknowledge is the systematic oppression and blatant disenfranchisement and unfair treatment that black people face. We can all agree that we are in an unfair world where we aren't on the top of the food chain and we have to really push our way through. We have made it, we found success, we prevailed through the misfortunes, but deep down we know that we still have a very long way to go. That is where we can all come to a common conclusion. Can we all agree? Yes? Okay, thank you. The term woke was first used by the Pan-African activist Marcus Garvey as early as the 1920s. Woke means to be informed, educated, and conscious of social injustice and racial inequality. Being socially aware has been fundamental in many aspects in society as an African American. Not just in terms of injustices, but your sense of self, your internal identity that allows you to understand who you are as a person. That helps you navigate in a society that constantly told you that you were not important, that you are a descendant of a slave, nothing more, nothing less. A world where the best way to conquer is to make people forget who they actually are. Your sense of self is a prized possession that should be held on to dearly. With the rise of woke culture, more people were inclined to figure out their history and hidden knowledge of what it means to spiritually be black, because knowledge will always be your greatest asset. Beyond the realms of oppression that is taught, there is greatness hidden between the couch cushions you have to dig through to find. Which brings me to my first point, why the black movement matters. The black movement gives people an outlet to share what they call the hidden knowledge, because we all know there's more to what they're telling us, but what it also does is acknowledge the many tactics that were used to divide the black community. White supremacy being the root cause that has created destruction and division within the community. The dismantlement of the black union, the erasure of the positive black image and rerouting it into degenerate imagery. The biggest point being how these white supremacy ideologies has been embedded within us, manifesting itself in many forms via the beauty standards and what is considered beautiful. It is the people that raised their fists to speak about how the community was being infiltrated. How we need to do better as people also play a hand in the ignorant divisive thoughts that further divide and conquer when it comes to the brotherhood and the sisterhood. You have colorism, you have featureism, texturism, all the stupid isms has really taken a toll on what is considered beautiful because the isms are us. We are the isms, but yet we subject ourselves to feeling that those isms make us inferior because we abide by the European standards of beauty. My problem is the people who acknowledge the isms and know that it's very destructive, but yet have no problem playing a hand in enforcing those viewpoints.
Systemic issues again, that for whatever reason we've been taught that light is right. We're drawn to the straight, even the idea of the straight hair and you know the complexionism that goes on is, again, it's this hierarchy system. There was this, you know, German scientist back in the day that started classifying people based off of the tone of their skin, and you know, his name was some shit like Frederick Blumenblock or some shit like that, like Johann Frederick Blumenblock. He's like, yo, white people, the people from the mountains of Caucasus are the superior people, and everybody under them are feeble-minded, and that it goes all back to that thinking, and we subscribe to it. It's fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, he actually, Matthew went into sort of his own stories because he grew up in Alabama, I believe.
Yeah.
And the school he ended up going to, he had a transfer. He ended up getting caught messing with some white girls.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And then the school he was transferred to was a historically black college.
Shouts out to the HBCUs.
But they were doing the brown paper bag test.
Yeah.
Back then.
Complexionism.
And the only reason why he even got in because the athletes were exempt. From that.
Because the darker athletes are gonna be the better athletes.
A lot of times, yeah. But literally. Yeah, they would pull out a brown paper bag. If you're darker than this bag, then you cannot get into this black college.
I'm the color of the paper bag.
Right, you are the paper bag.
I'm right there in the middle.
But so, isn't it crazy though? Like,
nah, it's funny. That's real. Even within our own community, we've been brainwashed that complexionism is the lighter you are, the better you are.
Right.
And I deal with that when the King of the Dance Hall film, because it's so real in Jamaica that they're bleaching their skin and that's looked at as a sign of success.
Yeah, no, his own mother told him not to bring home a black nappy-headed girl.
Yeah.
Even though she was black and even had nappy hair. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a self-hate kind of...
it's a self-hate thing that we've been... Again, it goes back to that demoralization. You know what I mean? We've been told that we are less than, so therefore we subscribe to it. And it's funny, I even see it, I look at some of the comments and stuff when they talk about because everybody's kid now is freaking beige. like everybody's kid. Like all of our kids are just beige. But, and that's what I'm saying, the whole world gonna be beige soon, and then what you guys gonna do? But it's funny though when you see those comments and some of the self-hatred, but even some of the animosity towards oh, well, why everybody got light-skinned kids? Or why, you know what I mean? Yeah. I want my kids to have good hair. Like, what the fuck is good hair? You know what I mean? Like, all hair is beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, any hair that's on your head is good hair. Like, but it's this European, what they call it, the colonizer's mentality. Say this, but even wilding out, I'm like, yo, find me some dark-skinned girls. Like, the fact that I have to say that is because I'm trying to rep for our queens, but it's this mentality of beauty is a fair complected color. So even when it's almost just because I say find me some dark skinned girls, I'm and find me a white girl too. It's like the token white girl. It's the token dark skinned girl, but then everybody else is beige. It's sad that we can't just be in a society that, one, regardless of the shade, but even that the darker complexion, to me at this point, I'm more fascinated by darker skinned women. Darker skinned women, and I don't know if I was subconsciously and I'm on my pro-black shit or whatever, but I'm it's a rarity. To me, every girl on Instagram looks alike. So right. I'm scrolling past all these beige chicks, and when I see a dark skin, I'm like, yo, who is that?
Right, but if you look at your own dating history.
Well, that's not true. That's not true, because I got a smorgasbord. I'm a Benetton.
Exhibit A. Okay, so we can take in that Nick Cannon has the knowledge of the isms of the world and how destructive it is. He is aware and very much not stupid to the cause. He is quoting German scientists who helped enable these ideas, but yet he is an enabler himself. If you don't know who Jessie Wu is, she is our Haitian cousin. She is a popular host and comedian who worked on the set of Wild 'N Out and has openly talked about her experience on the set.
For talking about colorism, my colorism experience on Wild 'N Out, and Nick saw the clip. I was talking about it on the Grapevine. Shout out to the Grapevine, who's no longer here with us. Please bring that shit back. What the fuck? But I was talking about, the subject matter was colorism, and I shared my story on Wild 'N Out, and that went viral. Nick saw it. Nick reached out to me, and Nick's whole thing was, man, I didn't know that colorism was happening, and he even had me on his show, and I was just like, and I think that you know, what we were talking about on the grapevine is just how sometimes Black gatekeepers as well don't do a good job of being inclusive, being intentional to be inclusive. You know, there were 2 opportunities that came to me to have a speaking role.
Yeah, I want to talk about this. Let's talk. You said that the Tory Bricks, the incident. Let's talk about break that down. Shout out to Tory Bricks. Rich the kid, they kids, everybody rich. Love you, but we love her. We love her. Salute to the family.
But yeah, I remember the second time it happened, it was with her.
Oh, so it happened a time before this,
right? So it was 2 times when I had an opportunity to speak. Okay. But the first time was like right as I was getting on stage, I was told, "Hey, Jess, you're not gonna speak." And I was like, I didn't even have time to process it. So, you know, you're just gonna stay in the position where we told you to stay, and that's that. I'm like, okay. So,
and that was told to you by a woman of color or somebody on the crew, and
it was told to me by one of the producers.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, one of the producers. So, but she was the same person that was trying to get me to get a speaking.
She wanted to see you shine, and
she wanted to.
And like I said, there's some strong women who work on Wildin' Out, and they love their job.
Shout out to her. Shout out to her. Her name is Rachel.
Yeah,
Rachel.
Salute Rachel, a queen. She get out there, and if she be like, "Ooh, I want you to do this, and I'm excited for you," and you know, she all for the culture. So shouts out to her. But continue the story.
Yeah. So then the second time that I had an opportunity to speak, right before again, I was told, "Hey, you're not gonna speak." And so, but this time around, it was a kind of like I caught the between her and someone else. And so I caught the and she comes back and she's like, "You're not going to speak." And I'm like, so I go to the person that she was talking to, and I'm like, "Hey, Rachel wanted to get me to do this. What's going on?" And I was told, "You know, you're not exotic. You don't look like the other girls." Basically, it was just like an extensive conversation right there on the spot.
Wow, and right in the middle of on set. That had to be heavy on you.
Right. But then afterwards, I continued the conversation with the person, and, you know, she basically told me, "Listen, like, you kind of have to do what these girls are doing. You see how they look. You see their followers on Instagram. You see what they're doing on Instagram." And it's like, and I'm like, you know, first of all, I didn't look like any of them. Right. I was a darker complected girl.
Can I interject just real quick? Because you used the interesting word exotic, which I really wanted to get into, because I heard you say that on the interview on the grapevine. And I mean, if you really think about truly the definition of exotic is someone with the descent from a foreign country or foreign land. You're Haitian. You are the definition.
That's what I said.
Of exotic.
I'm like, hello, I am Haitian.
You are an island girl. Sa passe na boule.
Okay, run on free, Gio.
I just want to say this as I'm watching this interview back. I just remember being very grateful to Nick for allowing me to share my story, and him being very open to, you know, just hearing what happened to me. But today, as I'm like going back and I'm watching the video, there's so much gaslighting in it. It's like he's dedicated to not understanding what was meant when I was told I wasn't exotic. Basically, I was told I wasn't exotic because I'm not ambiguous, okay? I'm not multiracial. I'm not light-skinned. I am dark-skinned. And throughout the interview, if you go watch it, I even was scrolling through some of the comments, and the comments was like, "Oh my God, he's gaslighting the shit out of her." But it's just the way he's dedicated to not understanding that colorism was happening, when he clearly in the interview states what he's looking for. It was really kind of like crazy to me.
You know, when I cast for Wildin' Out, for the actual cast members and the Wildin' Out girls, I don't know if you noticed, but I aim to find people who are unique looking. Like I almost don't want somebody who fits the mold. Now we might get one and then like everybody else follows that suit, or everybody go get the same plastic surgery or something. But it usually starts off like, or even with.
So I just want to point out to you guys what unique meant to Nick. What unique meant to him. These are the girls from like my era. I was a Wild 'N Out girl back in 2016. I believe this is like 2015 or 2017. Like it's around the era that I did it. So these would be the girls. And there would be like one token dark-skinned girl here and there. But these were the unique girls. These were the multiracial, ambiguous girls. And there would be like one token dark-skinned girl. Even here I can see Shanika Adams there, but like most of the time it was these girls. If you look at this picture, you see the girls that are in Wild 'N Out gear. Literally, they're Hispanic and white or multiracial. This is what he was looking for. So when you are just totally oblivious to colorism happening on your set, but these are the girls you're casting, I just don't believe you. Okay? How do you not know that colorism is happening? Like, look at the Wild 'N Out girls alone. How do you not know this? You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty apparent. And as someone who was working there, the environment, things that were done, it spoke to, we only predominantly want light-skinned women here. We want ambiguous women here. We want exotic women here, and exotic being not dark skinned. So that was pretty apparent. And so I just always felt like this nigga was playing really dumb. He was playing really dumb with me. But whatever, like I wasn't gonna like fight too hard about it, because I already know what my perception is. A lot of times when I speak up about things, it's like, oh my gosh, she's always speaking up about something. It's always a problem. It's like, yeah, it's always something to speak up about, because people really act like they don't know that you know that they know that this is an ongoing issue. So anyway, I came across his interview with Angela Yee.
Sometimes it is hard in the moment when you feel like people have more power than you.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because there's been times, and as the boss, and in an environment like Wild 'N Out, where it's like you got to live all your vulnerabilities on Front Street, and it's people talking shit, it's people calling you out your name. It's like that's what the show is. But then you're also like, all right, so where is that line? So there's been times, and like I believe it was Jessie Wu, who actually she started off as a Wild 'N Out girl, and it was a colorism conversation about her being one of the dark skinned girls and not being exotic enough, and it was never brought. I knew nothing about it, and then she kind of went viral and told her story, and I called her immediately. Like, first of all, why didn't you ever tell me this? Right. And then we created a relationship and a bond just from hearing her story. And she eventually became a cast member and now is thriving in so many different ways, just as talent. But it took her to have the courage to kind of, and again, because sometimes you don't know what to say. You don't know. Someone can offend you. Someone can do or say something in the workspace, and you don't know. Right. You don't want to lose your job. You don't know what. You don't know if this was said in jest or somebody was just kidding. Or so in environments like that, it's a sensitive space. Right. So in being someone, I've been the talent and I've also been the boss. You got to just be very careful with, one, how you handle people. I believe if you just good to people, at the end of the day, the universe is going to serve you in the correct manner.
As long as you know I represented myself in the right way.
So he's saying a whole bunch of nothing. I mean, he just doesn't talk. He just, it's like, hey, I'm like, hey, Nick. And he's like, what's up? You know what I mean? Like, very like, don't talk to me. And that's okay. You don't owe me that. I'm not entitled to that. But when you say we build a bond, I'm just like, what bond is it, baby? Where the bond at? Where the bond at? I don't know where this bond is at. I don't know it. And here's the thing, right? When you say things like, oh, I had no idea there was a colorism issue. And then you have me go viral for saying I faced colorism all Wild 'N Out. That was 2020. Here we are in 2023, and this is what you're doing. Are you still unaware? Light skin versus dark skin, Nick Cannon present. Like, let's be for real. Let's be for real for once. Like, let's be for real.
How many hypocritical conversations do we need about colorism? You know the effect it has, but yet you continue to place these rules out because you like what you like. And I can't police what you're attracted to, but don't sit here and speak about its negative effects and how stupid it is, saving face to the same black audience that supports you, then turn around and enforce those standards. It's hypocritical, and you must think your audience are bimbo buffoons. But most importantly, you're a fraud, because the isms are only okay on your part, right? But not the same women whom are your reflection. All of your who you said in the Vlad interview who are all beige isn't your definition of exotic. According to you, what happened to diversity? That grace isn't given out because I guess it is what it is. It's a cruel world when you get to sit on this righteous pedestal when this is really the reality that you want. But what about the people who don't enforce the ism beliefs? Who believes in the procreation of two black individuals to reinforce positive imagery of the black family? Someone who acknowledges that it takes two. You can't criticize if you aren't following the basic standard of a black union. I respect Umar for enforcing beliefs that are needed to unify the black community. But what you can't do is have your cake and eat it too. A lot of people don't know that Umar is actually a father. It was reported that he is a father of two to two different women. Now, there isn't much information about his children, and I'm not gonna dig it up, but the facts are that he is a baby daddy. Which, of course, I guess wouldn't be a problem if him being a baby daddy doesn't contradict the things that he says.
When you go through the history of black radical organizations, as you know, Dr. King had some female friends. I believe some of those women were sent to Dr. King. We know within the Panther organization, there was women sent to them to pillow talk them. Black Liberation Army, SNCC Corps. They do it now. They even do it now. Remember Mayor Marion Barry of Washington, D.C.? He got busted in a hotel room with the crack. Same thing. They are still out here using women to bring down black men. And that's why I would argue that if you are going to be an activist for your people, if you are going to be an advocate for your people, you got to have sexual discipline.
Keeping along with problems that affect our community, do black men have a valid claim to argue about child support?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. You know, I've been victimized by child support. I didn't marry my oldest daughter's mother. She wanted to get married and I didn't. It's not that she couldn't have been the wife, but I was not going to marry you just because you were having my child. It don't work that way. And that's how her and her family wanted it to work. And when I said it's not going to work that way, I got put in child support. My daughter was only 3 months old. I went to the child support hearing. The hearing officer, he didn't even want to do the order. He said, your daughter only 3 months. She's still on Pampers and milk. What money does she need? I told him, go ahead and do the order, my brother. We are not in here because I don't take care of my child. We are in here because I didn't marry the mother. So yes, the black men need to organize. Black men need to organize around the child support situation, as well as the custody situation, as well as the unemployment situation, as well as the mass incarceration situation. There's a lot black men.
Where the ball is dropped is the lack of consistency when it comes to the same people that openly talk about the system that oppresses us. You're very righteous in knowing that the black woman birthed the first baby. You know that you were the first to walk the earth. You acknowledge that once upon a time we were kings. You understand that we have the rich melanin skin that the sun absorbs. You know this and have spoken the word to your people, which is a good thing, right? You're self-aware and you have every color of the turban and dashiki in your wardrobe. You know your history. You look up to the great civil rights leaders that fought to make sure that the future generations will not deal with the same fate of racism. You are black, 100% black and proud, and celebrate the idea of wokeness and where you drop the ball. The teeny weeny missing piece of information is your lack of positive imagery that balances out. There are some people that follow the righteous path of being blackety black. You are the blackest, proudest nigga in the nigga dome. But a lot of people forget the piece of information that unconsciously translates into practicing what you preach. Having the image that coincides with your word. Let's think about it real quick. Do you guys think Obama, our forever president, could have even been thought of as a good candidate if he had outside children? If he was a baby daddy to one woman, then got with Michelle? Not just him, but any of the presidents. That would have been used as a piece of information to slander their campaign. Do you know why? Because people like the image of stability. The fact that Obama had a black wife with black children, he didn't have outside babies running around in the front yard. He looked stable in his foundation. And truth be told, people trust other people that have a family image. Because inconsistency looks untrustworthy. You can't even maintain your own kingdom. It's been said that employers and business partners may view those who have made long-term commitments to a spouse as individuals who are more likely to be dependable, dedicated, and reliable to their work. I'm not saying that Umar isn't dependable, dedicated, or reliable to his work, but if he did have a wife, if he did portray this Pan-African family unit, there's a possibility that he could have gotten donations faster. There's a possibility that people wouldn't question as much as to why it's taking so long to build the school. Maybe he would have gotten more opportunities because his family unit looked more stable, then in hand making him look more trustworthy. Do you guys know why people love LeBron? Why he will forever be stamped as one of the best basketball players and role models to ever grace the NBA? Why he's so respected in so many rooms he steps in outside of the court? Because he holds himself to a perfect image. Now, we don't know what LeBron has done in these streets for real, but honestly, that's the point. I think it's pretty amazing that he has such a squeaky clean image for someone who is about 2 decades in his career. We don't know LeBron for doing anything that would slander his reputation, and he has maintained that. He doesn't speak out much, but he also doesn't place himself on a pedestal to act like a leader of the community. His word holds more bond because he has what is considered a picture-perfect family. He doesn't speak, but he maintains his image and role with his beautiful family and beautiful children by his side. We watch Savannah flawlessly grace his courtside games with their 2 sons and gorgeous daughter. That image alone is so much more powerful than what people want to admit. Some of you guys, we know that you know your history. I'm sure Jonathan Majors has picked up an autobiography or two, because in his words, not mine, what he is doing as an actor benefits the culture.
Audio Jabari had recorded earlier in the relationship where Majors encouraged her to act more like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama.
I'm a great man. A great man. I am doing great things. Not just for me, but for my culture and for the world. That is actually the position I'm in. The woman that supports me needs to be a great woman.
He has studied the great civil rights leaders and wants to emulate it in his own way. But again, where we drop the ball. The balls are dropping. This man wanted Grace to be his Coretta Scott King, his Michelle Obama. And why them? Why not Hillary Clinton? Why not Jackie Kennedy? Why bestow Coretta Scott King to this white woman? I know why. Because you are weird. It is weird. And you know, a lot of these guys, like I said, they put themselves on a historic pedestal for the justice for the image of the black man that enforce change for his people, are in fact hypocrites. What makes a lot of people question Jonathan is the fact that he embodies this civil rights character. He plays a similar role, so as a past theater actor, I think he really takes in his portrayal, so now it's just present in his everyday life. We see it in the way he dresses. His style is very vintage. So when he says, be my Coretta Scott King, I genuinely think he means it. Be the woman that'll be by my side. Like the people he looks up to. But doing it and telling it to a white woman is just interesting. Then him saying that to Megan while she just sits there. She's just sitting there. Gotta figure, she's just soaking it in. It's just so funny to me. But anyways, what I said still stands. You can't have your cake and eat it too. How can your word be bond if you can't even uphold it to the women in your community? And I stated before, this isn't for everyone. This is just me pointing out certain people that don't stand in their truth. And when you don't stand in your truth, you are an odd individual. You can date, you can marry, you can procreate with whomever floats your boat. but it is pure hypocrisy to think you could have your cake and eat it too. And we all know this is just a few, but hypocrisy is blatant in the blackity black movement. But let me know what you guys think down below. Please comment your opinions. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Toodles.